one, but there you go. At least it is streaming. So if anyone's there, you should come up on the side, but I can't. I just got to wait for a minute, I think. The other one just froze up. I couldn't see what was going on. Couldn't see who was there, what the story was. A bit weird. If anyone's there, just have a bit of a chat and I'll see if it comes up. If you can see this, check out on Facebook and you'll get the link to the new feed. Says there's 3 people watching, but I can't get any of your comments or anything. So try and write some up if you're doing it. Anyway, look, if you are watching, I'll just and you can send me a message if I can't get anything up on the side here. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed those vids today. There was just a little example of what I want to do with the bar crossing vids. So I want to sort of stitch them together from the drone and from stuff I've taken off the boat and make it, you know, something that people can use as a tool before they cross a bar. They can go and have a look and just see whether, you know, see what's going on with that sort of crossing. So I'll put as much information in it as I can. And I'd like some input from you guys too. If you have a look at them and think of anything that I could include, I do want to include just not only the bars, but maybe a bit of info on services and other things that you could come across when you're in certain places. So it'll be a bit of a cruising guide, I guess, but with a bit of a focus on the bars to get you in and out. Because if you want to cruise up the New South Wales coast, especially, and you want to have a good night's sleep, you're going to have to cross bars. So I've put together another one for when is it? Well, pretty soon, and I'll get them up. So all the bar crossings, I'll stitch them together as bars, you know, and put them in their own playlist. So I'll have a playlist with crossing bars on it, and I'll put all the videos of those crossings on the playlist. So anyone wants to use them, they can go to the playlist, hook out the bar they want to cross, and have a look at it before you come across. And I think that'd be a pretty valuable sort of thing to do these days. But anyway, give us your thoughts on it. It says there's 8 of you there now, so I'm really struggling with this technology. But I've got top chat up in the right-hand corner here, but it really doesn't show me who's there. So I can't see names or anything like that. So I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, got Blue Nomads. I've got something. I'm learning all the time, eh? So I've got Blue Nomads and Tipper D and 33. How you going? And Steve Lilly. How you going, dudes? Good to see you on here anyway. I'll have to get better at this technology because I think it's probably a good way to do it. You guys got any questions at all? Just rip them up there, and I'll try and talk about it. But good on you, Steve. Good to see you going all right. Yeah, it's the bar thing. I'll be doing that over the next quite a few months, but it'll just give me plenty of editing to do when I'm doing nothing else. But the main focus for me at the moment, I am putting lithium-ion batteries on this boat, and we've been planning it for the last week or so, and I'm getting near the stage where I'm going to go and put my hand in my pocket and spend a bit of money. But I think it's going to be a good system, and I want to get that done. Of course, the weather here in Queensland has been shocking, and hang on, Peter. Thanks for persevering, Pete. Yeah, the weather in Queensland here is thanks, Steve. Yeah, it'll keep me busy, all right. It's great when this weather's wet like this because it gives me something to do. Hey, Judy. Yeah, all the bars, this is a question from Judy. She just asked, have some of the bars got live cameras on them? Most of them have live cameras on them. And the best way to see what conditions are like before you cross is to have a look at the live cameras. I think what my videos are going to do is give you an idea of the track in, see where you should be, see what the leads are doing, because you'll have leads that help you get in as well. So that's the idea of the vids, is to give you all that information. But yeah, most of the bars do have live cams, and they're pretty great to help you see what the bar's like before you cross it. You got lithium, Pete. Wind Jenny, have you got lithium on your boat, Peter, or are you just saying got lithium Wind Jenny issue? Didn't work that out. I'm going to get rid of my wind generator when I go lithium. I'm just going to rely on the sun. Not sure if it's a good move after the last couple of weeks because we haven't had much sun, but I will have the gen set to back it up. But the wind gen, look, it's been a great thing. It's done 18 years and it's still going. But if I leave it up there, I want to put bigger panels up there. And if I put bigger panels up, it's only going to shade them. So I think it'd be more of a D traction than an A traction if I left it up. So I'm going to take the wind gen down. And the thing about wind generators is they work 24/7. So as long as there's wind, but if the wind's blowing, they'll keep pumping in. Trouble is, the one I've got anyway is pretty noisy and makes it really hard to sleep. So it usually gets turned off at night. The only time I leave it on is if I need to pump the batteries up. But I think if I go to lithium, I'll have a lot more capacity in my batteries. I'll have a lot more solar panels pumping power in when the sun is out, if it ever comes out up here. And yeah, hopefully it's going to be a nicer system for me to use. So if I can make it a bit easier, I don't know, even the way the boat's set up, you got a wind power to variable for controller. Yeah, well, I don't know. That's my thoughts on the wind gen anyway. It's going to go. My system, how I'd run it, every morning I'd arc up the gen set and run it for half an hour, cook up the hot water because I've only got a domestic hot water service on the boat. It's only 240 volt. So that'd cook that up in about 15 minutes. I'd let the batteries charge up a bit, boil a billy for breakfast, maybe cook breakfast on the 240, and then I'd shut it down. And I'd probably have to run it again in the evening to cook my evening meal as well if I wasn't using the barbie. So I was running the gen set a bit, and I just, every time I ran it, I thought, yeah, I'm half an hour closer to having to service it. So I think I'm going to try and run the gen set a lot less. So anyway, over the coming weeks on the channel, it's going to be all about the thought process into going lithium, why, what we're looking at buying. We're going to have a look at different options, and yeah, it should be good for the upcoming videos. So next week kicks it off, I think. And it's all the planning and that we do, and then after that it'll roll along week after week, just seeing how we do it. Anyhow, any other questions there? Good to see a few people on. Anyway, I feel like I'm talking to myself. was talking to myself early in the piece there, but I don't know what happened to that. I don't trust the technology. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it ain't. Might have had a rum too early. I don't know. Once I've got the lithium ion setup installed, and I'd say it's going to be about a month, I reckon. Yeah, Steve, I was just going to cover that then. I would like to move north again, but look, I've been up north for the last 5 or 6 years, and I'm sort of figuring I know I've been threatening this for the last year or so. The Wooden Boat Festival is on in Tasmania next year. It's a great festival, so it's really something to look at. And I'm sort of thinking I might just bite the bullet, buy the clothes, and head south. I might take my time getting down there. I might leave relatively early and try and get acclimatised to the colder weather they have down there. But there's a lot of good cruising. It's very easy to go north. For me to go north, Peter Lee with 240 volt. Sorry, Blue Nomads. Hey Norm, I'll go on with that in a minute. Probably want to know things that can't be found on charts or navionics. Best anchoring spots, how many and where. 24-hour mornings. Yeah, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to cover. That little bit of a video, if you had a look at it, there was a link to another video, which is a rough copy of what I intend to do. I did show a couple of public moorings there, and even after doing that, I thought sometimes if you've got very shallow draft, you can get on the other side, on the Foster side, near the bridge. It is a little bit near the bridge, a bit up from the marina there, and you can anchor there. It's pretty good holding, but it puts you pretty close to the town of Foster, and you can take your dinghy up under the bridge, up a creek, and put you right in the middle of town. So that's a pretty good anchorage if you can't get one of the moorings. And yeah, it's not a bad spot. So all of those things I'll put in the bar crossing stuff. I'll try to make it more, well, it's going to be about bar crossings and hopefully make that safer. But the other thing is make it a bit of a cruising guide as well. So it's going to give me a lot of work over the next year or two, I reckon. So when I've got a dull moment, I can pull the computer out and do some work on it. Yeah, especially for catamarans, it makes it a lot easier when you've got the shallow draft. Yeah, but anyway, going back to what I was saying, yeah, looking at getting down to Tassie, and if I get this lithium on and give it a bit of a shake down here, I'll probably take off and, as I said, just get a bit more acclimatised to the cooler weather as I head down. And there's some great spots. You get down the New South Wales coast and Lakes Entrance, like you spend months in there, and it'll be really good. So I think that's what we're going to do. I'm not sure how Wombi's going to handle it. She's a bit of a warm weather girl, but we'll see how we go. And yeah, I think that's probably, I don't want to preempt anything, but I think that's probably what I'm going to do. After travelling down to Melbourne to film the bars in Wombi's van, when we were down there, we got some pretty cold weather, and I thought, oh, this is pretty hard. I think it's just a matter of getting used to it. People are walking around down there with T-shirts and shorts on, and I had 3 coats and long underwear. So I think it's a matter of just getting yourself a bit acclimatised. So, yep. If I do go down there, I'll be going right around the bottom, Steve. I love it down in Port Davey. I've been down there a couple of times, and the plan would be to try and circumnavigate Tassie, because I haven't managed to do that. I've been down there twice and haven't been able to get right round. The West Coast is a big ask to do it, to get the weather right, but you can do it if you wait long enough. You'll get the weather right there. And yeah, it's how's the weather in Melbourne, Steve? I'm only in a T-shirt up here. It's wet, but it's pretty warm. Yeah, it will be exciting. It'll be something to do. And look, I'm getting older. To go down to Tassie, it's going to be a big project. Something I can do, but it'll be a big project. And I can, once I get back, I can get up to the Whitsundays. You know, I can do that standing on my ear these days. It's not a hard ask at all. Once you leave here, you virtually got to get up inside Wide Bay Bar, and you're virtually inside the reef from there on up, and it's pretty easy going. So it's a pretty easy trip. When you're going down south, you've got to work all the bars out, get in across them, do all that. It can be challenging, but look, it's quite doable. And even getting across to Tassie, you think, well, I hope so, Pete. I think it'd be good for you guys too, to instead of me just going north every year. I think I've covered most of the spots up there, and there is a little bit more footage I could probably get on some of the bars. So I'll probably shoot them a bit better, and that'll help me with the project on the bars. So yeah, it should be good. I've been in the marina here for about 2 months. When I'm not on the boat, I'm down at Byron with Wombi. You probably saw the shower I built for it. That was all planned in my head. I don't do much on paper, but I had a pretty good idea what it was going to look like. Turned out a bit better than what I thought, I think. So yeah, Wombi's pretty happy with her outdoor shower, and Ted gets a bath in it occasionally too. So I'm splitting my time between the boat and down there, but I've got to spend a bit more time here just getting the jobs done. And then, yeah, it looks like you guys want me to go south, so you've got to look after your fans, eh? Even if there's not too many of them. Anyone going to the boat show next week? Sanctuary Cove Boat Show starts Thursday, I think. You guys, just give me some feedback too. Would you guys rather do it like this, a live chat? I feel like you're not Steve. I haven't been for 4 years, but I've got a few things I want to look at, so I'm going to go there on Friday and have a wander around. I don't look at boats much, but I do look at all the gear tents and see what's available. So it's good to update you there. Yeah, let me know whether you think this live chat is good or whether it would be better to do Zoom. I reckon Zoom would be good because I could see you then and we could all have some interaction. So I think I'm better at doing the Zoom thing. The one yesterday would have been all right. I talked to Trevor from Lakes Entrance. I met him down there years ago and had a good chat to Trev, but no one else came on. But I don't think I gave you enough notice. So what would you prefer, Zoom or live stream? It doesn't really matter to me which way I go. I think it's more personal if you do it on Zoom because you have got it. The only thing is with Zoom, you've only got 45 minutes that you can do it for. So, and that's plenty, I reckon. We might get too friendly if we go longer than that. But yeah, I think you can do a Zoom meeting for 45 minutes if you don't want to pay for Zoom, which I don't want to do because I probably wouldn't use it that much. How you going, Mark? How are you? Happy Sunday to you, mate. Do many of you do Zoom, or is it easier for you to do the live feed? Any other questions anyone's got, or anything you want to talk about? You do Zoom, Steve? Yep. Yeah. Okay. Have you got it at home though, or did you? I don't know if you want to do it at work. The other thing too, maybe send me comments or something, whatever. Let me know what time you'd like to do things. Like it's easy today for me because it's quite overcast and wet here. And oh, you're pretty right then, Steve. It's pretty overcast and wet here, so it's a great day to be doing this. But once I get into the lithium ion job, I'm going to be pretty busy with it. But I can put aside an hour or two and do it. Zoom for times when your reactions are good. This format is good when you're doing all the talking. Yeah, that's right. I reckon interacting is better. I'd rather be talking with someone, not to someone all the time. But on this, I find like I'm standing up here, and if no one makes any comment, I start running out of things. I'm not sure what you guys want to talk about. So that's the problem with this. So I think maybe Zoom, we might try that down the track and see how we go. I'll give you a bit more warning. I'll give you more than an hour, I think it was yesterday. So yeah, but it was good talking to Trev yesterday. Thanks, Castaways. Good. That's not caravanning with the Castaways. That's not. That'd be my good mate from down in Melbourne from years ago. Won't mention any names. Yeah, I'm liking the travel with Wombi too. She's really good on the boat. We've got an interesting situation going. We worked out that she doesn't want to live on the boat 24/7. I don't want to live in a house 24/7, but we're going to mix and match it, and it's working out really well. We've got a really good thing going. We get on like a house on fire when we are together, and we enjoy our time on the boat and her in the garden. Ooh, garden. Ooh, yuck, what a terrible thing. But yeah, we have a lot of time, good fun together, and I'm sure you'll see a fair bit more of Wombi on the boat when I start travelling again. I feel like I'm talking myself to death here. Got to do it on Zoom, I reckon. I think it's a good idea. Still 12 of you sitting there looking. I don't know what else I can talk about. Is that rain ever going to stop? No, let's not talk about the weather. Everyone's talking about it now. What do you do about this rain? It's pretty ordinary. I really am a bit lucky, I guess, that I do the videos, because when it's wet like this, it's very easy to sit at the computer and just edit. And the video you watched today, there would have been 5 or 6 hours of editing in that just to get it right. And yeah, Mark, she's a bit rude sometimes, the old Wom. Your remark has been held for review too, Mark, but I got it. Yeah, it is good when the weather's like this, because you can sit down and edit, and there's not much else you can be doing. So it really helps knock a few vids out. So I'll get them together. When I'm doing the lithium job, it's a bit of a chore, really. Like, you want to get in and do the job. So I'm going to be down in compartments and tracing wires through. I've got to pull all the panels off the roof here. I don't know if you can see them, but got a lot of roof panels up on the roof. They've all got to come off so I can get to the underside of the panels to get them off and things like that. So the boat's going to be a bit of a mess for a while I do it. And you like to get in there and just do it. But if I'm going to take you guys along, I've got to be filming it all as well. So I'm glad I've got my mate Bruce. You'll see him over the next few weeks. He's an auto-elect by trade, retired now. We're good mates, been mates for 10 or 12 years, and just like helping each other out. And he's a really handy man to have on board when you're doing anything electrical or auto-electrical. So he can be doing a bit of it, and I can focus a little bit more on taking a few shots and getting some footage. Because if you don't get the footage, then you can't edit anything. So it's you get into a job and you start doing it, and next thing, oh geez, I should have filmed that. So you've got to sort of think about it. Would be good to have one board with the camera doing the filming, or someone doing the filming all the time, because it'd make it a lot easier. You wouldn't have to think about it. But yeah. Okay. What else? I'm reading a few of your comments now. Yeah, well, that is the thing. I'm a bit lucky that I'm handy, and I've got a good mate. Bruce is really handy with the 12-volt side of things. So it's good that I've got access to that. If you're getting it done, I think it'd be a pretty expensive exercise. But maybe with what I do, if I film it and show you what's going on, you can maybe learn a few things and maybe have a crack at doing it yourself, but maybe try and get an auto-elect to give you a bit of a hand along the way. But if you can do a lot of the work yourself, like you can buy your batteries, you can get. And the other thing is YouTube. I don't just make videos on YouTube. I spend most of my time watching things on YouTube and learning things off YouTube. So I think whatever you do these days, if you have a look on YouTube, you'll find someone that's done it and they've shown you how to do it. So I think it's a great resource for learning how to do things. So I have a bit of input when I'm doing the lithium thing and a lot of the other things I've done on the boat. But yeah, you can find lots of different things. Like even the lithium, I've been spending a lot of time on YouTube just researching the types of batteries there are. Blah blah blah. It gets quite technical, but researching all about inverter chargers and solar chargers and panels, what the best panels are. So you spend some long nights just researching what you're doing before you do it. Wasn't too. Peter said, judging the back of the waves when entering a bar, got a bit caught out at Yamba. I don't know if it was Yamba. I think it was the Macleay River, actually, Peter. And yeah, I did get pooped slightly. I got a bit of a wave, picked me up and gave me a little bit of a surf. But I think on the video I go into next week, the video next week is about crossing bars. So I put together a video that explains what I'm doing and the leads and all different things. So that's one for next week. And I explain a lot of things about how you should know how your boat performs on the front of the wave. Fortunately, Peggy-Anne, she's quite heavy, being a catamaran as well, and she doesn't draw too much. If you put her on the front of the wave, she tends to go pretty straight. She doesn't do any of this broaching too, which you bury the shoulder and turn side onto the wave. You can tend to steer it down the front of the wave. So it's not bad on bars, but still, I don't like doing it when conditions are bad. Yeah, and I think that one, it was going into the Macleay River, and I'm pretty sure. I know it might have been, it might not have been. I'm getting a bit mixed up. I think the one next week's going into the Macleay River. I think I caught one there, but the one at Yamba, yeah, well, I haven't done one on that yet. I couldn't fly the drone over Yamba when we left to go down because it was too windy and the road was cut. It was all floods, so I couldn't get into Yamba. So I haven't flown the drone over Yamba. So if I go to Tassie, I'll have to get to Yamba and fly the drone in. And yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, you've got to be careful. The last time I came into Yamba, it was from down south, and I was sort of in company with a mate, Anthony. You might have seen him on some of the earlier videos, and Ant was bringing a boat up from Sydney that he'd bought, and little monohull sailing yacht. I think it was an SNS 36, good little boat. But he went up and did the leads, and I said, I looked at it. Like, it's very important when you're doing bars. We'll get back to the bar topic. Very important when you're doing bars that you look at them and just see what's going on. And I could see coming up from south that to go in around on the leads, it would have put you in a lot of very gnarly water. It was pretty broken, but I could see that just off the southern headland or the southern breakwater, there was quite a calm patch. The waves weren't breaking there. I had a look at the chart, so there's plenty of depth. And what I did, instead of going right out, getting on the leads and coming back, I just hooked around the corner, and I reckon I only got a couple of waves that hit me on the way in, and that was it. Poor old Ant, he went further up and came in on the leads, and he got rocked around a fair bit. Didn't have much of a crossing, but yeah, you've got to really look at them, and look, it's experience too, I guess. I think probably if you haven't done them too often, get on the leads, because you're not going to be caned for doing it another way if you are on the leads and something goes wrong. But it is important to have a look and just see what the water's like. Don't take your boat into bad water just because the leads are taking you there. But I'll explain all that in the next video next week. Paradise Point. Oh, Mark. Yeah, well, that's not very far away. Should get together. Yeah, be good. I'll just have a coffee or something one day. Be great. I'll have it at Paradise Point. You get some cheap lunches there too. So try and keep in touch, and we'll, you know, get together. It does take additional time when you're filming. You've got to be thinking about it all the time. So it does take a bit of time, but it's my hobby. I enjoy doing it, and it gives me something to do. It's great on a boat because everything's small. My cameras are small. I can do it all on a computer. My computer gear, I don't know if you can see it. This is my computer here. I'll just borrow the camera. That's my computer. It's a little NUC, and that just runs to, I'm running it back to the TV screen at the moment, and I've just got a keyboard and a mouse, and that's how I do it. So it's pretty it's pretty small gear, and of course all my cameras. That's the biggest camera I own, and that's not very big, but it's a good high-end, high-def camera, and that's one of the smaller ones. So they're little action cams, and they're just, the thing with these is they don't have a viewfinder. You just get used to holding them and pointing where you want to shoot and know what the angle of the lens is. This one does have a screen that you can pop out, and you can view it on the screen, which is good. And yeah, it's all good stuff. So it's all small. It all fits on the boat easily. And yeah, and the editing side of it, you can do it on the table and on the TV. So it works out pretty well. But you have got to take the clips. You've got to make sure that you do take the footage. If you don't take the footage, you can't edit it. So you might take 10 hours of footage and you might edit that down to, you know, an hour of video. But you've got to take it. If you don't take it, you miss out. So that's why I keep the cameras pretty small. I can usually take them wherever I am and get that bit of footage. So it's good. I think Wombi has given me a new catchphrase, Pete, but she's a bit touchy about using it anymore because I said to her, this is going to be your catchphrase. I said, this is going to be you, Wombi, but she's a bit touchy about using it now. Anyway, bit of fun. She's doesn't usually use that sort of language, to be honest. 2.4 kilowatt solar inverter charger, LiFePO 4. Electric motor. Ooh, now you're getting right into it. I'd like to put I wouldn't like to put electric motors on this. I just don't think it'd do it. But that's the way to go. If you're on a yacht, I think electric auxiliaries are probably good. I don't know. A lot of people are saying, yeah, go for electric motor. And they'd be excellent if you were sailing all the time and just using your motor to get in and out of marinas or in and out of rivers or across bars or whatever. But in my experience, there's a lot of people out there motor sail, like even the full-on sailboats. Quite often you'll see them motoring. Catamarans that sail pretty quick, if the wind drops down to, you know, a bit lighter than what they want, they'll stick the motors on. So I think motor sailing, still a lot of it done even by the purists. So I'm not sure about electric motors because you don't really get the range with an electric motor that you can get with diesel. I wonder, when all the electric cars come in and they're getting more electric motors on boats and things like that, I wonder if diesel is going to get cheaper. What do you reckon? Do you reckon we're going to see it down at $1.30 a litre again? Oh, I don't think so, but I hope so. But we'll just see. Yeah, Mark said Mooloolabah's a bit of a mess. What are you hearing? And I got a text. I'll read it to you from Spiky Mikey Middleton, who is one of the gurus at he's one of the gurus at let's find it, one of the gurus at the VMR up there. I don't know, I can't find it anyway. He said that it's down to 0.24 at lowest astronomical tide, I think. So that's pretty shallow. So you wouldn't want to be crossing that at the LAT. I don't know where I put that. It might be on Facebook. He sent it to me. Okay. This is from Spiky Mikey. I posted a video of Mooloolabah on our RQYS Facebook site. It is now unknown. It is now unknown depth estimated at 0.24 at LAT, and that's very bad news. So what they're saying is that at lowest astronomical tide, which is a very low one, it's down to 0.24 of a metre. So that bar there is pretty well silted up. So I wouldn't be crossing that unless you've got a bit of water on it. So there must be a few other people going down the LiFePO track. You'd be able to walk in. Yeah, 0.24, that'd even stretch me out, I reckon, 0.24. Be polishing the props for even Peggy-Anne to get in there, and she's pretty shallow drafted, but yeah, that'd be a bit too shallow. Anyway, I think I've explained it in next week's video. If you're crossing bars, get onto the VMR before you cross. They won't tell. One thing VMR, just getting back on the subject again, I guess, VMRs won't tell you, yeah, come in, or yeah, go out. They'll never give you that information because there's too much liability involved. So what they will do, though, they'll give you the depth at the time probably, or they'll tell you what the depth is at LAT. They'll tell you what the best bearing is to cross the bar, so what bearing you should be on to come across. They'll tell you what the conditions are like. Don't ask them. Please don't ask them, do you think I should cross? Because they're not going to tell you, and it just makes you look like, why ask it? Because they just can't say. They really can't. You've got to look at it yourself and make the decision. You're the skipper. You've got to do the skipper shit. So have a look at them and do it that way. And look, the other thing, I'm preempting next week's video a bit, but look, you're here listening it, and we said the heading was let's discuss bars. When you get to a bar, whether you're on the outside or from the outside, and I'm not talking about a high-speed boat like a fishing boat or a smaller boat or a big river or something like that, because what those boats can do with the power, they can put their boat on the back of a wave if they're coming in and stay on the back of the wave. As the wave breaks, as long as they stay on the back of the wave and don't go over the front, they can follow that wave in. And a bit of power, that's where power in a boat sometimes is very handy. You can just sit on the back of the wave and come in across a bar, as long as you've got depth and you're in the right spot. But I'm talking about crossing in slower boats that, like sailing boats that people cruise on that do 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 knots. If you're on a boat like that, you're not going to have the power to sit on the back of the wave. So if you're coming in from the ocean, first thing you should do is just stop and have a look, find out where the white water is, have a look and look for the broken waves. From the back of the waves, it's a bit harder, but you can see the white on the top. You'll see where they're breaking. Look for the calmer parts. So where there's not white water, that is usually the deeper part of the bar. Correlate that with what the leads are telling you, because really the lead should take you across that unbroken area, and have a really good look at it before you cross it. So have it in your head what you're going to do. Make sure you put your life jackets on. It's illegal to cross a bar without a life jacket in New South Wales, so remember that. But put a life jacket on, because if it goes pear-shaped, it goes pear-shaped really quickly. So that's the thing about bars. They can be pretty nasty. Up here in Queensland, everyone, respects, I guess, and is in awe of the Wide Bay bar. As far as bars go, Wide Bay can be uncomfortable all the way in. It takes me, I think, about an hour to cross it. So you're on the bar for a long while, and there's a lot of white water around. But if you're on the leads, usually you're all right. And then you wouldn't do it in marginal conditions either. Like, you want to get the weather pretty right. But it is a long bar to cross. But I tell you what, the bars on the New South Wales coast can be a lot more treacherous, because you're only on the bar for a little while, but those waves stand up, and they can really give you some curry if you're not doing the right thing. So, yeah. Okay, Toby De Jong says, get Voltex battery, 300 ampere, the best value and a 5-year warranty. That sounds pretty good, Toby. I'm still researching batteries. They're a drop-in one. What sort of BMS do they have, do you know? Because that's what I'd be looking at as well, the battery management system. I want a good BMS on the batteries I get. I've had a bit of a look around, haven't made a decision yet, but it's coming, and I'll have to do it next week. I'll have to part with some dollars, I think. But anyway, it is going to cost a few bob. I've been saving up for it for 6 months, but I think it's going to make life easier, so that's what I want to do. When at Yamba, VMR answers from Terry Hill, Sydney. Yeah, I think still reply Luca Yamba, though. I know this because I had to rescue a boat on fire. No one was available to help. Yeah, well, that's a bit interesting. The last time I was in at Yamba, I think there was someone in the tower there, but there could be, they drop out, they can't get volunteers, and that can happen. I saw that, Mark. Yeah, I saw the Papaya did it. I think he got batteries given to him too, so I'm not a big enough influencer for him to do that, I don't think. So I've got to pay for mine. 400 amp BMS. You know what sort it is, Toby? Because that's a pretty substantial BMS. If it's a Delhi, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty big unit, though. But yeah, well, most of the I can't say for sure that Yamba don't monitor that tower there now. They might not. Bar cam. Have a look at the bar cam. Sometimes you look at the bar cam and the spiders all over the front of it, and they really need a bit of upkeep on them too sometimes. But yeah, look, if you're doing it with the right forecast and at the right state of the tide, you shouldn't get yourself into too much trouble. if you do it that way, it really is the best way of doing it. So the video next week will give you some smarts on crossing bars if you haven't got them as yet. So I hope you all enjoy that. And then after that, we go on to the lithium job. So it'll be all upward from there. 5-year warranty on the BMS. It sounds good. Mark says that I heard that Voltex had bad reviews. I don't know. I think most of them around now, like all the cells are built overseas. Probably most of them in China. The ones I've been looking at, there's people in Australia that are buying the cells, testing the cells, balancing the cells, and putting the batteries together. So when you're doing lithium, the cells come at, I think, 3.2 volts. So you've got to put 4 of them together in series to get your 12 volts or 13 volts, whatever it is. So that's the way it goes. But there's a lot of them are just bolted together with bus bars. So they'll have terminals on the top with a nut on them. I know there is a place in Brisbane at Slacks Creek, and they actually weld the terminals on the top of the individual batteries and put them into a pack. And it's a pretty good setup. But look, I won't preempt it. I'll get into that next week. 300 ampere, yeah. I think what I'm just looking at, I haven't made my decision on the batteries I'm going to put in yet, but I think what I'm going to do is go for 2 banks of 400 amperes and then run them in parallel. And that'll give me 2 BMSs. And the BMS is not the expensive part of the battery. The BMS is probably about $500 worth. The battery is probably about $2,000 worth. So if you put a good BMS on and do it that way, but I'd rather have the 2 banks so that it does give you a bit of redundancy. So if something goes down, you might lose one bank, but you might lose the other one. You can disconnect one and run on the other. So important with whatever you do on boats that you've got that redundancy, and hopefully you don't have problems with the batteries. I'm sort of thinking my AGMs are 3 years old. I reckon I'm halfway there, so I'll be lucky to get another 3 years out of them. And I'm going to do it before I have to. "24-volt, 200 amp, and doing some research. Hard to find real reviews." Have a look at the video next week, Mark. I won't preempt it, but have a look at the video next week. So we'll get into it. I've been researching it pretty flat out, and there is some good stuff around. But yeah, look at the BMS side of it as well. Look, you can build your own batteries. You can buy the cells. I've even looked at buying the cells. You can buy them on Amazon. You've got to be very, very careful who you buy them from, though. And it's all coming from China, I think, most of them. But you can do it that way. But I think in the end, I'm decided I'm going to buy the battery built. Let them buy the cells. Like, you can buy the cells. I can probably buy the cells and the BMS and put a battery together for about $1,200. That's about 400 amperes or 380 amperes, I think. Which could be the way to go, but I think I'm going to get someone here to do it, and it's there's some really nice batteries around, and I'll get into that down the track. No, not really. Toby's asked, is weight the reason I'm going for lithium? Not really. No, this old catamaran, she's not really we're not really weight dependent at all. She weighs 13 tonne, I think. So she's all solid glass and a pretty solid old girl, but she's very honest. But yeah, we don't take too much into account as far as weight goes, with weight you're putting on. I tend not to keep anything on the boat that I don't need, because it does all add up. But as far as the batteries go, I'll probably save about half my weight, which the best thing about that is getting them in, getting them out. If you've got lighter batteries, it's a lot easier to lift them in where they've got to go, because it's usually thinking, actually, when I was looking at batteries, I went to one place, and I was, I won't preempt it yet, but I went to one place and they had an 800 amp hour lithium pack. I thought, oh, gee, that'd be good. It was in one case and all that, and then it was on a bit of a bench, and I went and tried to lift it, and I said to Bruce, he was with me, I said, "This thing glued down to the bench or something?" He said, "Must be." But it wasn't. It was just bloody heavy. That was 800 amp hours of lithium. Well, imagine 800 amp hours of lead acid. You'd need you'd need a small truck to carry it around, but it was still 800 amp hours of lithium cells is heavy enough for us to say, we're not doing that. We're going to go 2 400 amp hour packs, and that'll make it a lot easier to get them in out where they've got to go. So that'll be coming up down the track anyway. Thanks, Mark. I'm glad you enjoy the videos. Oh, look, I'm sorry I'm getting into the technical aspect of things with this lithium conversion. I hope you're interested in it, but sooner or later we'll get back into the cruising side of things, and I'm going to go down and see the caravanning with Castaways dudes, because I think they're down in Tassie, so I might have to get down and have a pint with them at the Stanley pub, which would be nice. Max and AGM 1800 amp hour. That's a lot of amp hours. Yeah, a gel hybrid. How do they? What's the hybrid, Toby? It's an AGM lithium or something like that. Actually, I saw while I was doing the research, I saw an interesting YouTube clip of a guy on a yacht, and he put lithium on his boat, but he left his gels. He had AGMs, and they were still pretty new, and he put them in parallel. Ran them in parallel, and there's a way of doing it without blowing yourselves up. But he said it works pretty well, and I listened to all of his theory on the whole thing, and it sounded pretty good, but it goes against what everyone tells you. So I'm not going to. It's a little bit out of left field for me to do it that way. I think I'm going to go all lithium, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, Johnny, I run 400 amp hours of AGMs. So I've virtually got 200 amp hours of usable power there, and I'm going to go to 800 hours of lithium, which should give me plenty to run the inverter and run my 240 volt system as well. And I'll have a lot of panels on the roof to push it all up. So that's the way I'm looking at going. 6 at 300 amp hours, and Toby, 6 at 300, 450 kilograms. It's pretty heavy, mate. How do you get them in and out? There must be in smaller batteries, I guess. No worries, Mark. I'll catch you later, mate. I hope you're interested. That's good. Yeah, Peter. How do you go with solar and regulators? What's the charge voltage, etc.? Will you need to change your shore power charger regulator? What I'm going to do, Peter, and I'm preempting everything now, but look, I'm happy to do it. We're going to leave the system pretty well as it is. Or my switch panel from a 12 volt, that'll remain the same. The 240 volt panel will have a little bit of a change to it. I'm going to put a inverter charger on that's got 2 AC outlets. So I'm going to run one of those AC outlets to my hot water service, give it a separate circuit so we're not tripping shore power or circuit breakers if I put a big load on. And I'm going to replace my hot water service as well, because I've got a 50 litre, it's virtually a Dux household hot water service with a 240 volt element in it. I think the element's 3.6 kilowatt. I've got to run that for probably 15-20 minutes each morning, and you've got plenty of hot water. But I'm going to put a smaller tank in, about a 20 litre tank, which I reckon is all you need. You can get 2 showers out of 20 litres pretty easily. And it won't take long to heat it up. And I can put a smaller element in, so the inverter should be able to run that. I'll have it switched so that I can just turn it on and cook my hot water up. But yeah, the shore power, my battery charger is an old Xantrex battery charger. It's 18 years old, 22 years old now. It's been on the boat since she first swam. And it's done the job perfectly. It's only 40 amp charger. So that's run faultlessly for all that time. That's going to get retired, and I'm going to put an inverter charger. It's going to be a 3,000 watt. I'm looking at Victron 12 3120. So 12 volt, 3,000 watt, 120 amps on the charger side of it. So that'll be, you can do that with lithium, because the lithium will take 120 amps if you give it to it. You can't do that with lead acid, of course, and that's one of the reasons I'm going that way. So I have got to change a fair bit. That's where a lot of the expense is going to be for me, is putting all the other charging regimes in. And look, the biggest thing is you've got to be really careful you protect your alternators on your motors. So we'll go into that in the next week. Actually, there's a bit on it. So we go into protecting your alternators and that sort of things as well. Yeah, you want long arms, Toby. I reckon 77 kilograms each. I'm way too old to be lifting that sort of weight, mate. Make you old doing it. Yeah, well, what I'm going to do, I've got Peter. This is Peter. He's asked, can all you guys see these comments on the side? I guess you can. I don't know. I've never done this. Peter's asked, what about VSP for the crank battery? My motors crank off their own batteries. They're only lead acid cells, but they crank off those cells and then they charge those cells back up when the engines are running. So I'm not going to change that system at all. And what I'll do, I'll run a DC to DC charger from one of the motors to charge up the house banks, and that's what I've done all along. But by the same token, the DC to DC charger I've got doesn't have a lithium algorithm, so I've got to replace it. So another bit of expense. Yeah, good on you, Pete. It's good to hear. And I've talked to 4 or 5 people. Peter says, now that I've lithium, I wouldn't go back. I've talked to 4 or 5 people, said, mate, you won't know yourself. It's just fantastic. You can get a 600 minutes, what, 1224 element to put in your hot water system, just screws in. Yeah. Maybe. I think what I'm going to do, though, Toby, I'm just going to go for a 1600 watt, 240 volt element, and I'll run that off the inverter, which is 3000 watts, so, you know, plenty there, but I'll switch it. So what I'll do, I'll just switch the hot water on when the sun's out and cook up the hot water. It'll probably take half an hour, and then I'll switch it off. I won't let it run and let the thermostat turn it on and off all the time, because I think you're wasting a bit of power. Probably after lunch, I'll turn the hot water on, cook up the hot water to have a shower, and the first of what you want, and then I'll store hot water in there. And the tank I've got now, it stores the hot water for 24 hours, keeps it hot. It's hot enough to wash dishes and have a shower under, so it's not too bad. Yeah, I think Victron's pretty good. I think that's the way I'm looking, Toby. Yeah, Peter, when I built the boat, I'll explain it all in the next video. I don't want to take it all away from the next video, but when I built the boat, I built it to survey. I didn't want to put gas on the boat because survey requirements, you had to jump through a lot of hoops. So I put the gen set on, and I just put a standard 240 volt hot water system on, because at the time I was on shore power all the time. I was taking the boat out and running it for 2 hours at a time, morning and afternoon, with school kids on. And you take it off shore power, the hot water cylinder was heated up, so you had hot water all the time you're out, and then when you came back, you plugged it back in. That's how it worked. And it wasn't until I started cruising on the boat, I've changed it around an awful lot since I started cruising, and some of these systems aren't quite as good as what they could be. If I'd been building the boat as a cruising boat right from the start, it would have been totally different and probably a little bit more user friendly, but it's what I've got. And look, it's done me for 18 years. I've been out there doing it, so it's good. But now's the time to change it all around and make life a little bit easier. And the heat exchanger thing, it's just something else I don't think I really need to have to do, Pete. Okay, thanks, Steve. I'm glad you see him. Thanks, guys. I don't think so, Peter. I've been reading a bit about it, and on YouTube there's a bit about it, but I don't think there's any insurance issues on lithium. Like, you can blow yourself up with lead acid pretty good. If you do the wrong thing with lead acid, you can burn your boat to the waterline. Not a problem at all. You get that big amperage going through a small cable, you can set fire to your boat. So I don't think that lithium, and look, I've noticed now too, and I didn't think they'd ever be able to do it, when you order lithium batteries, you can get them sent by air. So they're putting them on planes. I think if there was an insurance issue, they wouldn't be doing that. And you do see I noticed on the news a while back, there was a car carrier that burnt to the waterline because it was carrying electric cars, and one of them caught fire in the middle and they couldn't put it out, and it went right through the ship. So I guess that's something to think about. But I don't know. Look, everyone I've talked to, so as long as you do it properly, and get someone who knows what they're doing to do it. And this is where Bruce comes in. He really knows his stuff. He's just converted his boat to lithium ion, so I feel very confident, and he's a cluey man. So I think if you do it that way, you shouldn't have any problems with them. And I haven't heard of any insurance problems there at all. So I don't think, I don't think there is any, but I'll find out for you if you like. 1770 Victron 15 module's got fried, 5 years old. Victron replaced all the boards, sent it back to me freight, including. Amazing. Oh, pretty good. Good to hear, Toby, that you get hit by lightning and that goes on. Well, that's good. I'll be glad to deal with them. They make pretty good stuff. I think their stuff is pretty good. So, yeah, Peter, the windlass draws about, I think about 150 amps. A bit under. I think the brake is 150. We'll have a look. No, can't see it there, Peter, but I think it's a 150 amp breaker, so it must draw a bit under that. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave one of the AGMs there that the anchor windlass, if you saw me install the anchor windlass a year or two ago, we wired that up to a lead acid battery. My setup is I've got 305 amp hour batteries right down low in the bilge. But when I built the boat, it was built to survey, and you had to have a battery up above the water line so that if you started sinking, you could get out a radio message, blah, blah, blah. So it's always had the capability of having that battery up high. So I've got a 100 amp hour gel cell up high with the anchor windlass wired to it at the moment. I'm going to leave all of that, and I'm just going to charge that probably off the starboard motor and off solar panels. I'm just going to reroute a couple of the older solar panels, charge that battery continuously, and put it through a DC to DC charger to charge it off the engine as well. So I won't have the big current draw off the lithium, which I'm pretty happy about too. Like it's going to, I think the hot water service is probably going to be, I've got electric cooking, so I've got a induction cooktop. That'll draw, if you had both of the elements on, that'll draw about 2,400 watts, which is a pretty big draw. But on one of the YouTube sites I looked at, they had exactly the same cooktop. They put 2 big pots of water on to boil them, ran it through virtually the same system I'm going to build with a 250 amp battery management system. I'm going to have 2 200s, so I'll have 400 amps, so it'll be a bit bigger, and they didn't have any problem at all. And they were taking temperature readings and things like that, and they didn't get too hot at all. So I'm pretty happy that the cooking side of it, and look, when you're cooking with those induction stoves, 20 minutes max usually, and I think that'll be all right. And then the hot water service, that'll draw 1,600, so it's not really that bad either if I go to the smaller hot water service. So I think my AC draws are going to be well under what I can really accommodate, so it should be good. And I'll leave the lead acid battery there just to run the anchor windlass. And the other thing is we're going to put some redundancy in there, so if the charging regime to that lead acid battery goes down, we're going to be able to switch it to another charging regime. So I've got redundancy there as well. It's pretty important you can get your anchor up when you're anchored somewhere and need to. So yeah, we'll put some redundancy in there, but that'll all be part of the upcoming video. So I hope you're all getting really fired up about seeing the way I do it. It's going to be fun, but a bit of work, but I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to spending some money now. Yeah, only so to talk to you guys. Well, I used to. Yeah, good on you, Steve. I'll bring it up. Yeah, Peter, I used to edit my videos. I'll show you where. And this is part of the reason was that to keep the current draw down. You can see the black cover up on the bulkhead there. That's a little TV screen, and I used to edit there. So I used to lay on that couch, but it was really hard. I was sort of I had my neck looking up all the time, and it was pretty hard work. So what I did just the other day, I thought I'll try and plug it into the main TV. And this main TV is on my main bulkhead through the front of the boat. and it's a bigger screen, so when I'm editing, I've got a lot more area to edit on, which works out well. And all I have to do, being a catamaran, being pretty stable, this table isn't bolted down, so I can move it wherever I want. So I just move it around here, and I can sit here and do editing on the TV and talk to you guys as well. So it's good. Amazing how you can come up with something that makes life a bit easier, and you've been doing it the hard way for 2 years now. I've been looking at that TV up there, so I might have a cheap TV. I might have to have it as a giveaway. It's 12-volt model. Might have to have it as a giveaway or some bloody thing, whatever you do. I probably wouldn't know how to do it, but anyway, we'll be getting rid of that TV and putting a nice painting up there or something. I don't know. We'll see how we go. I don't think I need redundancy in TVs. Actually, this TV that I'm looking at the moment, I think the only thing I use it for is watch the news, television-wise. The rest of the time it's YouTube and studying things like that. I don't think there's much on TV. I can't do what's the Big Brother or Neighbours or anything. Just I'd rather pick up the guitar. Well, how's it going, guys? We're running out of things. I'm going to have another rum and coke in a minute because I'm getting a bit dry. We've been going quite some time. I'm sorry I had so much trouble getting it up early, but if I do it again, I'll be a bit more au fait with how it all goes. Is everyone still there? Any more questions or anything you want to know or want to talk about? Because it is good. I think, what do you think next time I go the Zoom route? We'll try Zoom. I'd much rather interact with you guys. It was good talking with Trev. I haven't seen him for 4 or 5 years, I reckon, or maybe 2 or 3. Yeah, but he's down Lake Macquarie. It was good having a chat to him yesterday, but he was the only one there because I didn't give anyone much time, so it was all good. And I think, just waiting for you guys to write something up there drives me nuts. Here we go. Do a Google Meet. What's it? A Google Meet. All right. Happy hour time. Zoom can be good. Yeah. Just an option. Yeah. I'd have to learn that too, Steve. I probably can. I've got Google and all that, so I could probably do a Google Meet. The Google Meet is everyone's on a webcam though. It's a bit like Zoom. Starlink, is it expensive, Toby? So I'm not sure. I haven't heard of it. I'm pretty focused on the lithium thing at the moment, so I haven't been looking at anything else. I am going to the boat show on Friday. We're getting a water taxi from here up. If anyone wants to do a boat trip up the river to the boat show, 9 o'clock at the marina here. We've got a water taxi picking us up, and don't hold me to this because he might pull a pin. There's only 3 of us going, but he's picking us up here at 9, dropping us to Sanctuary Cove and picking us up again at, I think, 4 o'clock to come home. So it'd be a good way of getting to the boat show. And yeah, and Wombi's feeling well, Lisa. She's going really well. Yeah, so it'd be a good way to do it if anyone wants to do it. I'm at Hope Island in the marina. No good if you're down in Sydney or anything, but the boat show can be a real pain to get away from, I found. Hope Island, it's right on the corner of Sanctuary, where you turn off the road to go down to Sanctuary Cove. It's right on the corner behind the Coles there, Toby. It's Hope Island Marina, it's called. Don't confuse it with Hope Harbour Marina. That's another one. But Hope Island Marina. Google it, mate. You'll find it. And let me know. All of you guys can message me, can't you? So you can drop me a message and I'll respond to that. No, great, Pete. That's good. You're on that website, that the Music Cruise website. I reckon that's great. It'd be good to do a bit of that. I pulled the guitar out early because I was a bit bored and had a bit of a pluck. And you probably know that you've probably seen some of the posts. I've got a little guitar pick that I sell, and I'm trying to get them out to people, but it's all fun. Yeah. Okay, Toby, Sovereign Islands is good. Yeah, Lisa, hi Norm. How's Wombi feeling? She's feeling really good. Yeah, she's going really well. I think she's going in for a little bit more treatment next Monday. I'm going up with her, but only a little one. So fingers crossed that there's a bit more pain relief for her because she suffered a bit with back problems. But yeah, hopefully she'll be good and we get all that sorted. She might spend a bit more time on the boat when I'm heading to Tassie. Looks like it. I think you guys are talking me into going to Tassie. How's a marina at Sovereign Islands, Tobe? Be a good spot there. All right. Well, I'll go to the boat show. I'll have a look at one thing I've probably got to do once I get this lithium thing sorted. My chart plotter's getting near the end of its useful life, so that'll be another few videos in reinstalling a new chart plotter. Yeah, it's a bit of a big trip down from 1770. Look for the ribs, Pete. There'll be plenty of ribs there. They'll be releasing a new one, wouldn't they? Be 120 footer. There'll be plenty of ribs there. I think it's the Riviera show. Someone told me, I don't know. Someone told me that you can't get on some of those big boats unless you've been vetted first. So they must get you at the gate, hold you upside down, see what drops out of your pockets. But yeah, I've been told that you just can't walk onto all of them now. When I go to the boat show, I'm not in. This is the last boat I'll ever own. I'm not interested. Well, like I'm interested in boats, and you see some there, and I might climb on and have a look. Oh, that's interesting. But I'll walk around the boats and have a look from the outside. But I'm not too interested in jumping on. But I do like walking around the tents with all the gear in them and seeing what's new because it's all changing all the time. Actually, one of the things that you'll probably see on next week's video. Bruce, my auto elect mate, he's been doing the planning and that. And I was going to go with the Victron stuff, and they got some really nice stuff with a touch screen. You can monitor everything. And Brucey talked me out of it. He said, "Don't do that." He said, "All those electronics." He said, "Marine electrics on a boat aren't too bad, but electronics on a boat, the last thing you want because they just hate the salt air and the salt water, and you don't want them. So keep it simple, stupid." So we're going down that track. And interestingly, Peter, the guy who helped build the Power Cat, the first look I got at a lithium system was his system. He's got all lithium, and he's got all the Victron stuff and the touch screen. Guess what? The touch screen has broken down. So I'm going to keep it pretty simple, and it'll save me a few bucks too. But anyway, that's next week's video, dudes. Well, I might have to wind it up because it's been fun with you guys, but it would be better, I think, if we're doing it on Zoom or the other one. I'd have to learn it, that's all. Yeah, I like that, Pete. I'll pass that on to her. Where's the pain? Oh, fuck, do I? Yeah, well, that's it. That's what Bruce says. He said all the Victron stuff, you put smart stuff in, it's all got Bluetooth compatibility, and just do it on your phone, and that suits me. The only battery monitoring I've got on this boat now on the old gel cells, I bought a little. It's a little Bluetooth sensor that goes on the battery bank, and that Bluetooth to an app you put on your phone, and that's been good. You can get up in the morning and see what your the battery capacities are, which is a little bit hit and miss. I think the way they do it, it could be right, it couldn't be right, sort of thing. But it's a good way of doing it. But the Victron stuff's a bit more sophisticated, and I think you can Bluetooth onto that and save the need for running all the, there's a fair bit of cabling and stuff you've got to put on if you're going to go with that Bluetooth stuff. So I think I'll keep it. It's not Bluetooth with the cable stuff, so I'll probably just keep it as Bluetooth and do it on the phone. Bruce showed me his setup, and and we got on the boat and Bluetooth the phone to the thing, and it's yeah, it gives you all the information you want, really. I think the only thing it doesn't really give you is what your 240-volt draw is and all that. And why do you need to know? Like, you know, as long as you know what amps it's pulling and all that sort of thing, you're more worried about that than what the draw is on AC voltage. But anyway, we'll see what happens. Well, dudes, you're keeping me up. It's been great talking to you today. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll do it again sometime. It's been a good response because, and especially when I stuffed up a little bit at the start there. So it's been a good response. It's been great talking to you. Good on you, Toby. I might catch you. You go on Friday. But anyway, we'll wrap it up pretty soon because I tend to rabbit on a bit so I can keep going forever. But yeah, we'll wrap it up and I'll go and start thinking about something for Din-Dins. It's been great doing it. Yeah, well, Toby, that's nice to know. Yeah, I reckon too, Pete. It's the way I think I'm going to go. Good on you, Steve. Thanks for coming on board. Thanks everyone for coming on board. It's been great. It's good to chat to you guys, and hope we see you around soon. It really is great when you're on the boat by yourself. You feel like you've got a big family that are there to have a chat to and do all that. It's great. I love all your comments, and I love making the videos for you. It's just my hobby, so it's good. But it's been good. All right. Well, I'm going to see if I can. Oh, there's a big red button here that says end stream. So that's pretty easy to do, isn't it? Okay, sailing with Eros. So sorry if yeah, you can rewind and watch it. So sorry you missed out on a bit, but that's good. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Steve. Yep, keep on watching. I'll keep on making. Good on you, Johnny. Jan, see ya. Looking forward to getting down and having a pint with you in the Stanley pub. You're not there anymore, though, are you? But that'd be good. Cheers, dudes. I'm going off tap. See you later. Thanks, everyone.